What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 306 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, JR. I'm my co-host from the Alex.
Hello.
It is quite the Saturday. You know what I've done today? Nothing. That's what I've done today. Because we were also up until 1 in the morning playing D&D.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That was fun.
I, for the first time ever, died. I didn't die.
You got reduced to 0 hit points.
Yeah, I was put to 0 hit points.
You were making
multiple
saving
times.
rolls.
I threw my first ever saving roll,
Yeah.
which at the
To
time
not death.
wasn't as terrifying as it should have been because I forgot that if you crit fail, you die and you're dead. That's it.
Yeah.
So like I just tossed my first one, like whatever, and I got like a 15. Cool, whatever. I just need to get 2 more.
Right.
I had forgotten that those are very important rolls.
Nobody was mad at me that I took their healing potion off them and fed it to them.
Yeah, I mean, you stole one from me.
Oh, man, I was trying to save that. Like, no one...
I was planning on using them the second I got revived, hopefully.
See, when I died, there wasn't hit points were not involved. My friends just walked away with me.
You were cursed. We thought we had a plan, but we didn't.
Yeah, nope.
Turns out it was a lot easier. But yeah, we actually played our main D&D game for the first time since last May.
We've been rotating.
We've played other campaigns with the same exact people, but turns out people are curious and they want to DM. Actually, I want to DM again. I actually really want to, but I don't want to get another game going.
Joe was asking.
Was I there?
At some point, he was like,
last night? In my own house?
Oh, it was a while ago. Not recently. But like maybe last time we played, Joe was like, "Hey, Alex, do you want to take a swing?" And I was like, "No, I don't have anything.
I got nothing."
I thought it was one and done. Like, and mine actually went to 3 sessions. So
it's true. God, I can't. We've been playing for a while now.
Anyway,
but yeah, we did that. Today we're gonna talk about conventions because it is a new year. It's kind of like. We normally do almost a con season kickoff episode every now and then.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this is quite it because the season hasn't...
It's usually when we're going to our first con.
Yeah, which usually is... historically, I guess it's kind of PAX. PAX a little bit later this year.
Which PAX South already happened.
South already happened. That was a couple weeks ago. Got to watch a lot of Acquisitions Incorporated, which got me really excited to play D&D again. Because I never thought... ever in a million years that I would be really excited to sit down and voluntarily watch 4 people play Dungeons and Dragons in front of an audience for 3.5 hours. And I did that twice because there not only was there AC Inc., but there was also the C team. And it got me pretty excited because AC Inc. was on Saturday. And I was like, yo, is AC Inc. going to be on Saturday at East too? Because we're going to be there on Saturday. Because we're not going to be there on Sunday this year.
Right.
Anyways... conventions, it's a new year. Convention talk has started to pick up. We've officially, the stuff is booked for East, and we're trying to determine what shows we might be attending later this year. Maybe a new one or two, who knows. And with conventions, we like to talk about, we've been about, the logistics of stuff.
Yeah.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago with, who was it? It was, Jason from Essential Sequential, where we like to find out what goes on kind of behind the scenes. One thing that I have never actually really thought about because I'm too selfish.
Well, yeah.
And I prefer to...
You go to a convention,
Yep.
and you bought your ticket, or we got our media badge, our press pass.
Yep.
And so we're going to go report on the show. Or if you're a paying attendee, then you want to get your pictures with people. You want to find cosplay. You want to buy your limited edition items. You want to get art or autographs or watch panels or shows. There's tons of stuff you could do. And because you want to go experience the thing.
Things that you like in those things.
Yeah, and your friends are going to be there. You'll make new friends, and you don't have time to waste because you got to go stand in line because you got to try and get a voice recording from the voice actress who plays Diva from Overwatch. Or,
Right.
Any number of things.
Record my outgoing message box thing.
It's oh my God, John Berman's amazing again. Let's go, watch what he's doing. And so there's a lot of stuff you want to get through and get done. And that's what most of our time has been like.
Yep.
But there's people who will go and not do that. They will sacrifice their time and their work and their effort and their day and their, they'll be on their feet, they'll get tired, but they're volunteering to make the convention function and work and provide a good time for other people.
We've been diving into the world of, like, this is stuff that, and again, because I'm selfish, I've never really thought about. I've kind of like because PAX, they have the enforcers, and we've talked about the enforcers in the past. They're held in very high regard by the staff and the attendees. They get the shirts and there's the party. The enforcers are always there to help. They entertain people.
Mm-hmm.
They make waiting in line not so terrible. They
Which, having that explained to me early on from you guys who have been to PAX before I've ever been.
Yep.
And the concept of like, well, they're line entertainment. I'm like, what? And it's like, no, don't they like sit at a booth or like they're the person who holds a sign for line cutoff?
Last in line.
And then when I was in line for Acquisitions Incorporated, and like a group of 3 or 4 enforcers come by and do a ukulele 3-girl singing rendition of the opening theme to DuckTales. And like they would go up and down the line and be like, what song do you guys want to hear? And like they'd like pick a song, they'd just start singing it.
That's impressive.
And it was very entertaining. And like some people have like a high five off or like a Rochambeau, and it's a lot of fun. Other shows might not go that far.
Yeah.
But they still need to provide people there who will help you direct or answer questions, or even to shout like, "Will call over here if you have your tickets over there, or scan your phone over there."
Line starts here, whatever.
Yeah, or like sorry, the line's closed. All that kind of stuff. All that is very important. Otherwise, the attendees are just walking around being lost, or just cutting line, or the person signing pictures can never leave because their line's never cut off.
Yeah, and people just keep lining up. It's an endless hell.
Or when I show up and Zoe from Firefly,
yep,
and I'm like,
I was gonna get there.
Where's her signing thing? And they go, oh, she canceled her last appearance. And I go, I would have kept looking if no one told me that.
Yeah, yep, that would have been. And then after you finally found out, it would have been very disappointing.
Yeah. No one else is in line. I'm the first one here.
I'm a genius. Or maybe her stock has just plummeted over the years.
And sometimes what we've seen go by, if you're a regular volunteer, like you become like more of a veteran of volunteering, or either you can sometimes be put in charge of other volunteers. Like essentially, if you know the routine, if you've been doing it for a while, you can help some of the newbies.
You gain clout.
Yeah. At some point, maybe that'll lead to a paid position, or what you do might become more prestigious. Mm-hmm. Because I've mentioned it briefly in the past. I volunteered way back 15 years ago. Just realized how long ago that was. In 2003, I volunteered at Wizard World Philly.
I just want to specify I was there. Everyone listening, I was there for the shock of when it was realized that it was 15 years ago.
15 years.
15 years.
Next year, my time away from Wizard of Philly can drive. It'll be that old.
Oh, that's a good one.
But one of the days I was there, I was guarding stairs.
Yep, you were a stair guy.
It was very boring. I just had to tell people not to go up the stairs because we couldn't just put a stanchion there because it was very... Up these stairs was like a very important green room among like a mini like employee cafeteria, but also where they would keep some of the celebrities when they weren't signing and doing stuff in like interview rooms.
Where they could get away.
So they had to go up like an important spot. I couldn't let anyone else go up there. But it was boring. It was real boring. However, locally here in Connecticut, one of our previous guests, Catherine Redfield, gets to hang out with the celebrities now.
Right.
And so it's one of her jobs to like be a celebrity wrangler.
Having done it multiple times.
And like that becomes pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like you have to make sure that who did she have? She had the lone gunman from X-Files.
I don't know.
The lone gunman. So like she was in charge of the 3 of them.
Right.
And made sure they were at their signing point position on time and made their panel on time. Whatever else they were going to do. Like she was in charge of making sure they got, here and there. And leading through their secret tunnels where they have whatever they have in the Harvard Convention Center.
Right.
But that seems like a lot of fun. You know, but
Better than stairs,
yeah,
at the very least.
yeah. I got a T-shirt for that.
You still have it, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I do.
And you got a lot of. I mean, I have heard many fun stories out of that.
Oh, the experiences were great.
That one time volunteering,
Mm-hmm.
15 years ago. You're still telling stories. Like, I've never heard the one you told me today about loadout. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish you got that picture.
Me too. That was a really sweet picture.
No one knows what we're talking about.
But well, what that was, they'll take you. So back then, this was the deal, and then some different ones have different requirements for what you need to do to volunteer and to get your pass or to get your ticket to the show. But basically, it was you can get a weekend pass, and they encourage you to be available for all 3 days of the show. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and depending on how many applications they get, they will give preference to whoever can do all the days. So if I was like, oh, I can only do Friday, like I might not get taken because I'll take someone else instead. And I understood that. But I was going to stay until Monday and fly back Monday morning, which, yeah, it's only Philadelphia to Connecticut. And I don't want to take the 5-hour drive. I'd rather take the 40 minutes in the sky.
Right.
Because time is money. Even though flying is expensive. But,
The sweet irony.
but the show ended on Sunday, and they were like, so you guys are done. You can go if you want, but we could still use some help to help load out, all the stuff.
Yep.
And so part of the giant hall was unused, and they just opened up the wall section from where the show floor was, all the vendors and display people and whatever. And so they would come in and just park their cars on the other side. So 3 of us were there to help direct traffic and get them parked and make sure they had their forms and everything to go park in there. And then they would either get wagons or figure out a way to transport their stuff to where they had parked in the building. Basically on the show floor, but not where the carpeting was and all that. And that added about 3 hours to our day.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, the guy who was partially running the volunteers comes by to check on us and make sure we're doing our job and everything. And he's carrying this big 2 foot long 2 by 3 foot maybe framed picture of I don't recall what it was. It looked like a Gleesy or a painting or whatever.
No. Your typical.
And the theorists were like, is that for us?
Because we're so awesome.
Is there only one of them? And then he checks on us and leaves with it again. And I'm like, oh, that's his.
It was that little disappointment.
And then it's well, if we keep hanging out, will we get one? But we did end up getting the Wizard Covers hardcover book,
Right.
which was pretty neat. And I was
A
like,
book
I'll
of
take it.
covers.
Yeah.
Little nostalgia, because everyone, I imagine anyone who was ever into comics at the time when Wizard was being released could flip through that book and find at least one cover
Oh yeah.
where they're like, "Oh my God, I remember that cover."
The neat thing, it had descriptions and what went into each cover, and so it wasn't just the cover. It was a story of well, here's when they were doing Heroes Reborn, and they had to get Jim Lee to do Iron Man, and they got Rob Liefeld to do Captain America.
Right. Yeah.
But it looked really weird because Captain America was huge,
enormous,
and Iron Man looked tiny in front of him, and the perspective was off. And they were like, Rob didn't submit a finished Captain America, so what you see where the edge of the paper will cut off his shoulders and the top of his head or whatever, that's what he submitted.
Yeah.
And then what are we supposed to do? Well, the deadline's already late,
Yeah,
so we'll just print it, I guess.
Just cut them up.
It's just a bunch of stories like that. A lot of them are really cool. They work out. But that's something that I got. The Steve Austin story, the watching one of the editors from X Alonzo do portfolio reviews. Whoa, that was harsh.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's a brutal one. Ooh.
But there's been recently in the past year or two a lot of thought on if conventions are allowed to have volunteers.
Right. Because in the nature of the word volunteer, you are volunteering your time. You are willingly giving your time and energy to this thing. It's not like You don't call your job volunteering.
It's a
You're
job.
getting paid.
You're a worker. You're an employee.
You're working. You're an employee, not a volunteer.
And so where the gray area comes in is that it's an event. So the concept is you're volunteering for an event, but the event is put on by a company.
Yep.
And so now you're also volunteering for a company. And if it's a for-profit company, they have employees and a pay scale. And sometimes they have publicly traded stock. And so a company, a business, is supposed to pay their employees. No one's going to go to Stop and Shop and Walmart and volunteer for Walmart, right?
I wouldn't.
Would that be kind of weird?
I imagine I guarantee you there's probably someone out there. My time working in retail at the bookstore, they were few and far between,
Yeah.
but I was there for 10 years, so I guess eventually I'll see it. I did have, I think, at least a handful of people ask me if we ever took like volunteer work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, nah, man, this is a job. You want to apply? We'll pay you to do exactly what you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll give you money, just apply.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever hear the story about that guy who's obsessed with the New York subways?
No.
He's memorized the entire subway system and all the trains and what their timing is supposed to be.
Right.
And he has been able to break in and sneak onto subways and start driving them. And no one notices until the driver's like, I'm not driving this. Who's driving? And this has happened 4 times. And he's been banned and what's the term? Trespassed.
Blacklisted.
He's trespassed from using the New York subway because he's too upset. And it's just give him a job.
Right? Might as well just pay him. I mean, he could be a great asset.
I'm sure he probably knows more about it than the people who one of the higher paid people who runs it,
It's a terrifying thing down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
When a while back, I had a friend who lived in Boston. I'd go visit every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially the way where she lived was right on the Green Line.
Yeah.
Which is really all you needed. It brought you to everywhere you needed in Boston that was of significance to me at the time.
And if you have to, get on the red or the orange.
The red was needed to get from the bus terminal, I think.
Yeah.
And then I visited, a couple years ago, my wife and I visited our friends who live in New York City. One of them, Riley Stark, the designer of our amazing logo. And they picked us up at the bus station, and then we had to ride the subway and blah, blah, blah. It was, I'd never ridden the New York subway.
Yeah. I thought I could handle it because I went to college outside of Boston at LaSalle in Newton, Mass. And I would take the Green Line in, and I was like, yeah, I've done Boston subway. This is easy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It is night and day.
It's so... And, he had to... Because he picked us up, and he had to, improvise. This line is down. We have to take this train, hop on this, whatever. And, at the time, they had lived there for, 8 months.
Yeah.
They weren't there for very long.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still holy shit. How do you ever... Because obviously you can memorize one line. What we need is we need to get on this train and we get off at this stop and then we're home. But the improvisation or how about we go downtown to see this? We just need to get on this train, then get off here and then get on this train.
Mm-hmm.
Inbound and outbound, and it's just...
We have to walk a few blocks, but...
Yeah, exactly. It's... Oh, man, it is so... I got to give props to... It's just... It's mind-blowing. Anyways, conventions, volunteering, something I have never done.
There's one tangent.
Yeah, that was a tasty one too. A real tasty tangent.
There'll be more.
Let's talk about our Rumble predictions.
So what's been coming up is a lot of debate. Not only debate, but it's leading to some serious consequences.
Right.
One of which being Emerald City Comic Con has had a class action lawsuit brought against it by one of their volunteers who realized what they're doing and what he's not getting
as a volunteer.
And he thinks they should be paid. One of the tricky things, because it's real gray area, like I said earlier, and there's a lot of key wording kind of thing. that goes into what requires a volunteer to do and what they can't do, as far as what would be considered work or work requiring of an employee. So if you do work that like an employee would do, you should get paid for it, which means you can't make a volunteer do the same work. It's weird.
I mean, right off the bat, my first question is like, was he volunteering and was he told like going in that there was going to be financial compensation involved, and then that he was not given that compensation? I feel like that, like I'm with him. Like if he was told he was going to get paid and then didn't get paid.
If you're volunteering, the concept is that you're not paid.
Right.
Usually for conventions, it's that you'll get a ticket to the show. Either one ticket or the weekend pass.
Right.
Or
you'll work a couple shifts.
I've been reviewing a few things. For Wizard World, they require you to do at least 2 5-hour shifts, one of which has to be Saturday because that's the busiest day.
That's the day.
And then if you do an additional shift, so the 2 will get you your pass, your badge. And one additional shift will get you a pass for a friend, for someone else, for one day. And they say that's it. That's all you're getting. And then other shows will say, oh no, excuse me, there's like a swag bag. A weekend admission for yourself, a string backpack with some swag in it, an exclusive Wizard of Volunteer lanyard and badge, our everlasting gratitude, and that's it. But other shows will say like exclusive, like you get, you were looking up the PAX one.
Right.
And PAX had said that they get their pass, and that's it. They're done.
According to Reddit.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
I've never applied to be an enforcer. It's something that I've debated, but like I said at the beginning, I'm so selfish in that it would be difficult for me to sacrifice my time there.
Would you be able to work through your social anxiety?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's because that I would see that as like I worked retail for 10 years.
Right.
I have
yeah.
no problem talking with customers.
Okay.
Like all day, I could walk up to people, hey, can I help you out? What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
But when it's like someone that I admire,
Okay.
or someone who's actively like selling something, it's like maybe give me some. I don't know.
Okay. I see the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I've thought about it, like, and a friend of Joe I know was an enforcer one year, and I believe she had to work at least like one day or something like that, and then she could enjoy the rest of the show. But from what I understand, and according to Reddit, and this is a 2-year-old Reddit post, so no idea how valid this is.
Okay.
Apparently, you get the enforcer shirt, because they have the shirt. You get a pass to the show. You got to work a little bit, and then the rest of the time you can enjoy yourself. But from what I understand, I don't believe there's any compensation in terms of pay or anything additional. They do throw the big enforcer party at the end of the show with like the staff from Penny Arcade, and it's a big, a celebration of the enforcers and the great job they did over the weekend. But from what and also from what I understand, the more you do it, the more clout you get. You may be given more responsibilities instead of stairs.
So let's see. The class action suit brought against Emerald City Comic Con. One of the things is that the volunteers are expected to work essentially as paid workers would, performing functions necessary to the operation of the convention.
Right.
So saying like the convention won't happen if I'm not here doing this, which would make you a necessary employee.
Right.
But due to the convention standards, it's like they're not required to pay them for their labor or overtime. And so he's going to have a hard time with this suit because it's hard to prove. Because volunteers will willingly enter into the agreement saying they'll work for free.
I was going to say, I imagine there's something they had to sign.
Yeah, that's the culture of a convention.
Yeah.
And one of the posts here was saying there's even like a competitiveness to gain volunteer positions. And there's links to like little questionnaire that someone else had posted of like, what's it like being a volunteer?
I work the main stage, something like that, or the stairs. I'm big on the stairs.
Yo, but I brought ice to Steve Austin.
Exactly. You know how many things I've ever volunteered at? That would be 0, whereas you have at least 1. So you're up on me. I can't even say I've been stairs.
But a lot of responses have been like, it's not the kind of thing you do for money.
Do it because you love the show,
You do it because you like the show, you like the experiences.
or you want to help people.
Let's see. At the website Eat Your Comics, there's a post from 2013 where a person was saying, like, here's what it was like volunteering at Emerald City. And they're saying it was fun. I would do it again. I was there full time all weekend. I didn't get paid anything. It's not something you do for money. But like hearing stories from other minions was like one of the favorite parts. And like, you know, like I said, I told you a bunch of stories already.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was from that one, and I've been to others. But there's also a lot of examples of like, well, how different are volunteers from interns? Because
Right.
unpaid interns, there's been some suits brought up about that, where I believe SiriusXM had to settle for 1.3 million
Jesus.
after interns alleged that they violated labor laws. But unpaid internships are still a thing, which I'm so glad I didn't go to college.
Right.
where I would have to end up getting a job or like getting an internship where it's like, oh, I'm going to go work for this thing and not get paid so I can finish my degree.
Would you ever consider like
Because
I-
I'd still need to make money somehow.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
college is done. I should be making money. And then they say like, oh, you have to do an internship first.
right? So hypothetically, like your dream job, which I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
Like
I used to know, but I'm not sure anymore.
exactly, yeah. So like, you know, hey, you can have your dream job maybe if you do this internship for X amount of time. Like maybe do it for a little bit, and like the reward will be that you get a shot at your dream job.
That you maybe get a job.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right?
But so many people never going to get to college.
Yeah. From two people who did not go to college.
I kind of went, but not
Yeah,
really.
I went to community college
I did.
and I did not get a degree.
I did 2 semesters at a real college for a thing that I ended up not having an interest in.
Yep. Which we're doing now, in a way.
No.
Oh, not.
I went for physical therapy assistance.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I went to...
I thought it was for like audio and sound.
Nope.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Who are you?
How long have we known each other?
What episode is this?
So I went to... when I went to LaSalle, Newton, Mass, the Green Line,
Yep.
right? The
Yep.
T,
Yep.
I went
Copley
there...
Square. That's on the green line. Go ahead.
I went... The LaSalle had like a bunch of like key majors. They had a good business degree. They had a good fashion section, but they also did a lot with physical therapy and occupational therapy. And like those were their major things of why you would go there. You don't go there just to like go to a college. Like these are your majors.
Right.
And so I went there to physical therapy because I was like, yo, I want to put athletes back together. I want to like, you know, rehab people's knees and
Help
get
people.
them. Yeah. And that's what I thought it was, but I hadn't done any shadowing. I hadn't done enough prep time looking into it that I'm sure this is what I want to do. I didn't do any research. I didn't, you know, I didn't make any physical therapist friends and be like, what do you do? Oh, I tape this guy's ankle while he plays basketball.
Yeah. Yep.
Is he someone important? No, I just got to tape his ankle. And it's like that anyway. And so first 2 semesters, I'm there and we're getting taught how to transfer grandma from wheelchair to bed and bed, you know, to this thing and back and forth. And they're like, yeah, and sometimes a breathing tube will pop out. You got to know how to like plug that sucker back in. Not just like the tube in their neck, you know.
In the stoma.
Yeah.
Or is
Okay.
that only for smokers? I don't know if it's called that in all situations.
So that weirded me out.
Yeah.
That's not what I signed up for.
Yeah. But that's part of the job.
That's the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
You might have to transfer people, you know, and that's something I didn't know. Like I learned how to use crutches right. Remember
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
times I get mad at House because he's using his cane
His
wrong?
cane. Yep. Wrong
And like,
hand.
that's where I learned that, by the way. If you've ever wondered why is Alex so upset about House's cane,
I thought it was just an Alex. I was
Nope.
Like an Alexism.
I learned that at college. But after 1 year, I was like, meh, I don't need to go into debt over this.
Right.
And so I
Like
came,
massive debt.
yeah. And so I
For the
came
rest
home and
of
like
your life.
I happened like luck. I found the job that'll pay for community college.
Mhm.
And I got a bunch of degrees, or no, I got a bunch of classes, credits, whatever. And at my local community college, I was like, yo, I've done this for a year. And then I've been gaining like, 2 classes a semester maybe for the past 5 years.
Right.
And I'm like, can I stop yet? And they go, you can get an associate's degree with 1 more class. I'm like, all right, let's do this, I guess.
Bang it out.
And I have an associate's degree.
Mhm.
I took 1 radio class at the community college in town.
Right.
And that was it.
For some reason, I thought that was what your intent was.
Oh, when I say I went to college for radio, it was 1 class.
Right.
The college had just gotten a station, and then I left being bitter over it.
It's awesome.
I got pretty salty. So what would it be? I don't know. If I could like intern at Marvel Comics or whatever,
Right.
and then eventually like work with comic books and produce them, making them in whatever made, like maybe writing or editing. I don't know. Whatever I'd end up being good at, I guess I'd figure it out later.
Something in the comic world.
If it was pretty guaranteed that I'd end up with a job,
Right. You consider an internship.
then yeah, I'd go for it. Yeah. But where I am now in life, I've had how many years of experience being aware of what it's like and seeing what everyone puts into it.
Mhm.
And it's not like a foreign thing to me anymore. But like now, I can't imagine being 17 and being like, hey, choose an entire industry you want to do.
Yeah. That's going to be it. But yeah, volunteering. That was another
Tangent number 2.
juicy tangent there.
We got there from internships. And so there's been a successful lawsuit getting interns paid.
Right.
Because there's unpaid, but then there's paid. Because like getting an
Typically
internship,
unpaid or like you get college credits, stuff like that.
like I've seen a few things like a Google, working for Google as an intern gets you like $60,000 a year.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Because apparently you'd already be amazing at whatever you're doing.
Right.
But there's been a few other things that are changing the game. So it's a convention. Let's say a convention is a for-profit company.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have trouble legally getting volunteers. If anyone questions it or brings up a lawsuit, they have no defense, no recourse. They could just like try and say they never plan on getting paid. They could say like this is the atmosphere of the show, but like you can't really bring atmosphere to court, And so a lot of conventions are set up to be nonprofits. San Diego Comic-Con is a nonprofit organization.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest convention in the country, possibly the world, the biggest like comic book entertainment
celebration.
Yeah, is a nonprofit, so they can legally get volunteers and they don't have to pay them because they're volunteering for a nonprofit, and it works out. It's legally binding, and they're
And
back,
that's that.
they're covered. They're fine.
And that's the biggest one.
But whereas other shows, like anything owned by ReedPop is a for-profit company. And where is my article?
Which ReedPop does. They do New York, right?
Yes.
Because they do New York. I've never even thought about it. For some reason, I always felt like New York and San Diego are run by the same people. And it's very easy to forget that they're not.
Yeah.
They are separate organizations. And I know New York runs off ReedPop. PAX runs off ReedPop, at least for like... And I just associate it with how you buy your tickets.
I think C2E2 does too. Yeah. Oh, there's just a ticket thing.
Yeah, you just buy it off ReedPop.
Obviously, the convention itself is...
Right, yeah. Yep.
I use ReedPop in an example against... Third tangent. Against a guy that who's very conservative, who thinks that if you get a piercing or a tattoo, you're not going to go anywhere in life. And he was saying oh, well... You don't see any judges with visible tattoos. And it's like, well, relax. Maybe people who get tattoos don't want to be judged. It's fine. He's like, you're not going to see people in the boardroom, CEOs with a bunch of visible tattoos. And I brought up ReedPop, and you can look at all of their top employees. And I started counting how many tattoos I could see. And I'm like, these people are in charge of the worldwide biggest convention holder company.
Yeah.
they're probably doing better than any like boardroom that you've ever been in.
Yeah, how many boardrooms have you been in, by the way?
And like it's like they hold events in Dubai, in Australia. They're traveling the world doing this, and look at them. They've got silly pictures too,
Oh, and they've got tattoos,
full
though?
of tattoos.
Oh, how dare they, those hooligans.
But it was neat that like if you want to review Reed Pop and be like what goes into this, you can look up their CEO and their top board members and everything,
Right,
and
right.
you know the people who like make the show happen and make the business happen, which was kind of neat. And they're all pretty silly about it too. They're not like super serious. They know what they do for a living.
Yeah, yeah. They put on events.
Phoenix Comic Con recently they were in the news because they're a for-profit company, and to try and cover any problems they might have using volunteers, they decided it might help out if they team up with a nonprofit organization. And so they got together with Blue Ribbon Army, and volunteers would submit through Blue Ribbon Army and become volunteers through them, because they're a nonprofit. But since they're a nonprofit, to do whatever you're doing, you still need to make money somehow. And you would have to join the Blue Ribbon Army with a membership fee of $20. So where volunteering used to be free, you would get your ticket for free. Now, in order to volunteer, you have to pay them in order to do so. And
When you word it like that.
and the volunteers that used to go to Phoenix Comic Con like flipped out. Maybe flipped out might be strong. I don't know exactly what their statements were. I didn't see what their comments were, but they weren't happy because now it's like, I just want my free ticket to the show for giving my time and doing what you asked me to do. I'm going to cut off lines. I'm going to help artists get where they have to be. I'm going to give directions, whatever. But now I have to pay you to do that, like for this. And it's not like a isolated thing, because if you want to volunteer at Dragon Con, you're also going to pay $20. And even then you get put into like, I don't think you have to pay if you don't get accepted. The people who run Phoenix Comic Con thought it wouldn't be as big a problem.
Right.
Because joining the Blue Ribbon Army gets you like a year-long membership. And the idea was like, well, you get a year-long worth of being in this organization.
Perks.
There's a lot of perks to go with joining Blue Ribbon. But no one cared because they only care about Phoenix Comic Con.
Right. I've never up until 45 minutes ago I had never heard of Blue Ribbon Army. I've heard of Red Ribbon.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard of Hero Army.
I was literally just going to say that.
And one of the questions now, apparently South by Southwest uses a lot of volunteers. And they're going to have to start connecting through Sonic Birds, which is a nonprofit. No, Sonic Birds rather than a nonprofit.
Where are you?
So South by Southwest local music festival.
Right.
And what?
SXSW?
Yeah. So they're going to have to figure out what to do in case any of their volunteers were like, hey, start paying me. Because the national minimum wage is $7.25 is what's been popping up a lot. But this was also, some of these articles were from 2 years ago. So I think it might have changed since then. Yeah, the current level is $7.25. Denver Comic Con, nonprofit.
Was that the one that San Diego tried to sue?
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City, yep.
Which Jason told us about. At first I was like, oh, they're just doing it because they're angry that you're using Comic Con. And he's like, Salt Lake City went to San Diego and like started advertising in front of the advertisements.
It's a bold
and
strategy.
the term I think was poke the bear.
Yeah. Yep. That's real bold.
Which a lot of other shows like got nervous about. And it's like, well, just don't make a big thing out of it. Just do your thing.
It's like going we're gonna go to PAX at PAX East and start like stand right out front and advertise for our new video game show that we're gonna put on in our hometown. I imagine they'll probably have a good response.
We'll be fine. We have to call it something similar though.
Yeah.
Nickel Arcade.
Oh no, we're not gonna.
Okay, sorry. But
we have the OM weekend.
Someday we'll get to Owen weekend.
Credits Colin, by the way. Shout outs
Trademark.
for that name.
In case anyone's curious, I've been looking at comicsbeat.com.
So you can go and Google.
Orville.
What? Did you just have a stroke? You okay?
This was from Austin Music First. It's OVRLD. And that's where I found the stuff on Questioning South by Southwest. Because they were referencing Phoenix Comic Con and Blue Ribbon and those things.
Right.
What else? I've also been referencing Seattle-ish. That's where I looked at some of the stuff for Emerald City and their problems. I mentioned Eat Your Comics.
Which Emerald City, from what I understand, that show is held in high regard.
Oh, yeah.
From creators and attendees alike. A lot of people really, it's not quite on the bucket list for me, but it's one show that like I would not mind attending it.
There's a lot of like artists that we respect
who
make Emerald City a priority.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the Mary Sue was where I got a lot of my first like initial like breakdown.
Yeah.
That's the marysue.com convention volunteers. And there's a lot of other things they pointed out. Excuse me. Of things like if you're not an employee, then how much are you covered by the convention? So like if I twist my ankle on the escalator and I'm a volunteer, will the convention provide any health insurance for me, like any medical care? Or is that just on me because I'm not actually employed by them? I'm just showing up to do a job.
That's one of those things that like I have never thought about that. It's just not one of those things that ever like you just don't consider that.
Yeah.
Oh, when you volunteer at a convention, you're just volunteering at a convention. Nothing would happen.
So when you're employed by a company, you go through the training to work for the company. You're a representative of the company. You're getting paid by them to do your job.
Probably get to tour the building.
And if at some point something happens and you injure another person, they're gonna legally go after the company, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're
theory.
if you're a volunteer, you don't have that protection. They're gonna go after you as a person if you happen to do something that injures someone else.
Yep.
So now there's like the umbrella's gone.
Yep. And that's a hefty umbrella to lose.
So they point out like workers' comp, things like that. And what should any of us do, or what should conventions do differently to rectify any of these situations? Because it's not like conventions themselves aren't a new thing, but their popularity and how many have been showing up and evolving and changing and becoming new things, and the fact that like there's very specific fan-based conventions now.
Yep.
It's like when it was, all right, it's San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, and then Wizards traveling around, and then it's like, no, there's a supernatural specific convention. No. There's a convention based off of the Arrow universe.
There's one that's just for Blizzard.
Yeah. Yep.
You want to celebrate a video game company, you can go to BlizzardCon. Or Dragons.
Yeah.
For Dragon Con.
I just want dragons.
Where are all the dragons at? Oh, they're at Dragon Con.
So there's lots to come from this. It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
I'm trying to, and I don't even know if it's something that warrants it.
Connecticut's a not-for-profit.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
And like, I'm trying to figure out my side on this, like where I stand, because I understand if you're sacrificing your time and energy to assist the show in happening, one might expect some sort of compensation. But if you're going into it aware that you're volunteering, and part of like the deal is we're not going to pay you, you can get into our show for free. You might get a shirt.
Imagine being salty over what you're doing. It's like, I'm going to go hang out next to Steve Austin, and I'm going to make sure everyone doesn't take pictures or has their thing out and ready to be signed. I'm going to check their VIP badges. And like, I'm doing something really cool next to someone who's really awesome.
Right.
And like, yeah, I'll do this for free. I'm fine. But like, yo, I stood by stairs for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I want to get paid because this sucked.
Yeah.
You both signed up for the same thing, right? It's like, well, what the card you got dealt depends on if you want to get money or not.
I go very Baruch Salt on it, in a way.
I want it now.
I want it now. In that, like, if I were to, because like I said, and I keep going back to PAX, but that's my main thing. Like, being an enforcer, I think would be cool, especially like, wouldn't working at Penny Arcade be rad? First step in the door, maybe volunteering, being an enforcer. Or
That's
something
one
like
of the
that.
points that was brought up.
Yeah.
Is that it's a matter of if you're volunteering, then you partially shouldn't expect any advancement.
Right.
Because like employees should get advancement before this free person does. And getting things like some extra swag, or like you worked really hard, or you worked, an extra shift, maybe you get something in addition to
your swag,
badge, or you get something in addition to your t-shirt, like oh, I got a hardcover book.
Yeah.
Well, if they're understanding that they have to compensate me and I'm getting this thing, then this is to cover that they don't have to pay me. They understand that I deserve something. And one of the things that is being pointed out is like, they should understand that they should be paying you anyway if they're giving you something.
Yeah.
Which seems really harmless at first. It's like, oh, here's one of our exclusive comic books. Here, just take this instead.
Yep.
Which, at first seems harmless, but it's like if, did you ever see a thing where like something goes down and like a person apologizes? And it's like,
Are you sorry because you're sorry?
Our company's policy is not to apologize until we have all the facts.
Oh, I was going a different route.
And right now, you accepted blame for what happened, and you ruined us. You ruined our company now. And now we're going to get sued because you accepted that this was our fault. Mm-hmm. It's like, so don't say you're sorry. There's companies where that happens. So like,
remind me to say something after we finish recording.
Okay. And so along those lines of like, you understand you should be compensated for something by getting, I got an action figure instead of a paycheck. Mm-hmm. That also falls into advancement. Because I had the same thought. When I volunteered for Wizard World, I was like, someday I'd want to work at the magazine itself.
Yeah.
Like, if I could make an impression now. Like, by now, they're doing like 26 conventions a year. Last time we talked about them. Like,
that was a while ago.
At least 20 a year, which now they're bankrupt. But, how often can I make them see my face or read my name before I could get my foot in the door?
Yeah.
Because you think like, what will it take to get my foot in the door? You just got to get that one start, which, maybe interning your time to a convention isn't that much different from going to college.
Yeah.
In your field.
Even just at the show in general, like the I want it now mentality, if I were to volunteer to be a volunteer, nice repetition there, at a show,
yeah.
I wouldn't, and again, this is me being selfish, and the I want it now, you can call me Veruca, I wouldn't want to do stairs.
Right.
I want to work on the main stage.
Yeah.
I want to, stand next to Steve Austin all day.
Yeah.
I want to like be the guy who, and again, I have no idea what even happens. I want to work backstage at the main stage and help the band set up or anything like. I want to do the glamorous shit.
Yeah.
Because that's the cool stuff. I don't want it. I don't want to earn my stripes. Give it to me now, because I'm good.
You have to tell people that John Cassaday isn't doing sketches today.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine being that guy.
You get to.
Sorry, Todd's not doing any sketches. He's just autographing, and by the way, it's $20. You have to tell people that. This is your job now.
You're the one. Okay, so your job this weekend. You're gonna stand here, and make sure nobody enters the tabletop tournament. Who isn't already in? So have fun. Which, I mean, some people might really dig that job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just selfish. I'm impatient.
So, if you have thoughts on that, let us know. If you volunteered before and you really dug it, let us know. Have a chat about it.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't, let us know why. If you think it's not worth your time, or if you you know, one of the things I like to promote is education. So just look up on what you're looking into. If you're thinking like, oh, maybe I want to, volunteer for Heroes Con, do some research on it.
Yeah.
You might find a blog post somewhere of someone who has done it, or chat with someone online, find a Facebook group. They're probably out there, and be like, what's it like? How is this? Is it something you do again? What do you get from it? Do you ever feel like you're shafted? What was glamorous about it? Did you get on time pee breaks? That's important.
That's crucial. I literally did like a 2-second Google search and found round up on a Reddit page.
Yeah.
And it's just a couple people talking about their time as volunteers at shows, and I was like, okay, that's what I needed, because we did research. We did 10 minutes of it, but we did it because we're investigative.
One of the things I've used a couple of times is a website called Glassdoor.
Yep.
Where employees can look up possible employers, or if you're an employee, you can report on your company. And I've looked. So Wizard World popped up, and there's only been a few, but they've liked working for the company. It's positive reviews, has a couple stars. But I've also looked at what it's like working at Diamond Distributors, and that was really interesting. That's a story I want to get into much later, because I really want to look into a lot more. But if you're really concerned, do some research, check out Glassdoor. And this is by no means an advertisement kind of thing. I'm just trying to spread knowledge.
Brought
and
to you by Glassdoor.
But I'm encouraging people to do reviews and do their own homework, so they're not surprised by anything. But
conventions
right now, as long as we can, knock on wood, usually hopefully get media badges and press passes, we'll be doing that so we could report on the show and tell you how it was and take pictures and talk to people and get content for future episodes, so we could give you more episodes of learning about more people and cool things. But I could see a time later on at some point where I would go back to volunteering.
Yeah. At the very least, not only just to help people and have that, but also see how the landscape has shifted in the last 15, 20 years. See what the stairs are like.
You might have walked past those stairs.
I was literally just going to say, I wonder what stairs they were, because at 15 years later, I was in the same convention center for PAX Unplugged.
I did meet a somewhat celebrity. I don't know if I told you this part. I was guarding the stairs, and a lady came up to me, and she goes, "I have to get upstairs." And
I'm sorry. You
and
cannot.
I go, "I'm not supposed to let anyone up." And she goes, "Oh, I'm Garib's mom." And I go, "Let me move out of the way for you."
Who?
Garib. She was Garib's mom.
Who's that?
Garib Seamus started and runs Wizard Magazine.
Oh.
Yeah. He's like the founder of Wizard Magazine.
Yeah, she got to go through.
Yeah.
She got to use those stairs.
Yep.
Even if she wasn't, just having the audacity to declare. That takes fortitude,
Yeah. And luckily, I knew enough to know who that was.
I don't care who you are, ma'am. You cannot go up these stairs. Who you got for the Rumble? You think Rousey's gonna show up?
Batista.
Yo.
No, I'm kidding. But
Is Roman Reigns just gonna win it?
Probably.
Per usual.
Probably. I'm not happy about it, but
it's like they just give the finger.
They can't not push.
What are you gonna do? Not watch? You're gonna watch whoever wins.
Is it time to push Strawn Broman?
He's getting a pretty, again, with my. I follow wrestling via a Twitter account in GIF format. So I see a lot of Braun Strowman GIFs, so I figure he's getting a push right now. But I have no idea. I hope the guy who is... No, I'm not going to say that.
Oh.
Nope.
Oh.
He just got released. Because I was going to say the funny guy, and then I realized who the funny guy kind of was, and that was the one that's not there anymore.
Oh, I don't know. We'll talk later.
Yeah, yep. Yep. But they're still selling his merch.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Little... I mean, I imagine there's a lot that goes into that, but still, maybe consider that
It's burning it. I don't know.
when you take action.
I don't think I have
No Rumble predictions.
no.
Rousey's just gonna win it. Although apparently she's not gonna show
Wolf
up.
should be in the women's one.
I mean, there's rumors that they're gonna try to push her to get, like if they're desperate for viewership, but they're saying they're gonna wait for WrestleMania, also. And by there I mean Twitter, like the one guy I follow on Twitter.
I don't think Paige is going to win it.
She's out, right?
I think
done?
she came back and immediately got a new injury.
I think she's like retired. I don't think she can wrestle anymore.
That's what someone said.
Did you see the video?
I've seen a couple.
Oh, it's uncomfortable.
Like the next day, she was like, "I'm going to make it back. I'll be fine." And then a while later, someone said like she's done.
It was like watching Stone Cold roll up Owen.
Oh.
You know, it's just like you can see like the use of her extremities is limited in that video.
That's a shame.
Did you see the during the football season this year, a guy had a spine injury? Did you see that?
Nope.
He took a hit and like he immediately rolled like onto his back and was flexing his hands, like testing his like extremities to make sure like, oh my God, I know something just happened in my back.
Yeah.
And it like you could see him like, I think something's wrong with his legs. I think he's in a wheelchair right now, but like I think he's making progress. I don't know a whole lot about how it's been going, but it was a scary, probably the scariest moment of like the season, you know, and it was also like, he knew. He's like, oh God, something just happened. And you could see him like flexing his hands immediately. It's jarring. There was a lot of like, oh my God, look at this video. This guy's eyes rolled back into his head after this hit.
Yeah.
This guy had blood coming out of his ears.
Yeah.
You know, because football.
Right.
Thank God we get another fucking Patriots Super Bowl. And like, as a Giants fan, this is a double-edged sword for me. Okay, I'm going into sports now.
Okay.
We're out of time. No one else is listening. So the Patriots in the Super Bowl, which, you know, it's just boring football. I don't, despite living in New England my entire life, I hate New England teams.
Didn't that team blow a 27-point lead?
No, they blew that to the Patriots last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, the Falcons did. The Falcons did. Which, in irony, they're playing the Eagles this year in the Super Bowl, which is where my dilemma comes in, because obviously I want the Patriots to lose. That goes without saying. But the Eagles are in the same division as the Giants, and they're division rivals, you know?
Oh.
So, like, there's the Miracle in the Meadowlands, which was one of the worst things ever, where the Giants were playing the Eagles, and with, like, 2 minutes to go, the Giants had, like, a 30-point lead, and they lost to the Eagles. Wow. It was awful. They lost on a punt return with Jackson. I can't think of his first name. He even fumbled the punt too, like the kickoff, and he ran it back for a touchdown, and they won, and it was just awful. That was one of the worst things.
Episode 200 guest Doug Paskovich, also a Patriots fan.
Didn't know that. I think I did know that. Yeah,
because he gets real. He likes making other people salty about it.
Yeah, as most Patriots fans do.
When the Super Bowl ends and like the winning team's winning and the confetti comes down. The confetti is made of concussion reports. Yeah, they just shred them up, and
I don't know how true that is, but I believe it, and a little bit. There's a little bit in me, but anyways, you know. So I don't want the Eagles to win because they're division rivals,
right.
But I don't want the Patriots to win because fuck the Pats, dude. But also, there's also I kind of almost hope the Patriots do win. Because while, you know, that'll give Tom Brady his 6th ring, he's the GOAT, greatest of all time, whatever. Who cares?
Farm animals, for some reason.
Yeah, he's a GOAT, voted for Trump. But it also still mean that the only person to ever beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl is the goofiest man in the world, my homeboy Eli Manning. Like little Eli Manning, who everyone makes fun of for being shitty, like he's overrated, blah, 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 whatever. At the end of the day, he's the only man to beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and he did it fucking twice. That's as much sports as you're going to get on this podcast. So let's hear your Rumble picks. I got The Undertaker will win. He came back for the Raw 25 for some reason.
Yeah,
Everyone's kind of confused now. Everyone's like, why did he do that? Anyways, that's going to do it. We talked about conventions. Now I'm just really excited for like the season to pick up. But yeah, that's all I got. Is that all you got? We're at 5 seconds left. I'm getting there. I'm
Okay.
getting there. And, well, it's going to be different, but people won't know. Anyways, until next time, I've been JR.
I'm Alex.
And this has been episode 306.
6.
I had it. 6. Cowards. Dark Knight. Of opinions may vary.